Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on quite a fascinating journey through the September 2025 issue of CPA Flightlines. This really isn't just a newsletter. It's more like a dynamic window into the vibrant, sometimes complex, and sometimes challenging world of general aviation right here in Colorado.
Absolutely. And our mission today really is to distill the most important nuggets of knowledge, the insights from these pages. We want to help you understand the current pulse of aviation. We're talking critical safety initiatives, the evolving political landscape, and even a truly surprising story, an accidental discovery that, well, it quite literally saved lives. We're going to try and connect the dots for you, show you not just what's happening, but more importantly, why it matters to every pilot and aviation enthusiast like you. What can we all learn from this?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. We're aiming to connect those dots in ways that hopefully spark some real understanding for you. Let's dive right in. Okay, first up, Adrian Nye's President's Corner. He's reflecting on his 3 years leading the Colorado Pilots Association. And what immediately jumps out, I think, is his emphasis on the incredible strength of the volunteers and, of course, CPA's core missions. Safety, promoting GA growth, assisting on aviation matters, and education. So how do these big ideas, these foundational missions, actually translate into, tangible programs, stuff pilots actually see and use?
Yeah, it's really quite remarkable how they make these core missions real. You see it in these impactful real-world programs. Take the mountain flying program, for instance. It's absolutely
Critical flying here.
yeah, absolutely critical for safety in Colorado's unique high-altitude environment. But it's more than that. It's also a significant revenue generator. They teach 3 classes a year, plus extra contract classes, presentations at places like Oshkosh. And get this, the single program generates nearly half of the CPA's annual income.
Wow, half. That's significant.
It is. And they even secured an $11,000 state grant recently just to upgrade its technology. What's insightful here, I think, is how this program acts as a kind of model. It shows how specialized, high-quality training can create, well, self-sustaining programs and even attract government grants for tech upgrades. It's sort of a blueprint, potentially, for other pilot associations, enhance safety and secure your financial future.
That commitment to safety is absolutely crucial. And I know one big concern, especially for pilots along the Front Range, is the increasing mid-air collision risk. Those practice areas are getting so busy with more flight training. It's something you hear pilots talking about. What's CPA doing about that specifically?
It's a very real concern, yeah. And CPA has tackled it head-on, which is great to see. Our webmaster, Brian Garrett, and also Brian Hartley, they've been really instrumental. They updated and publicized a specialized chart layer.
Ah, the one for EFBs.
Exactly. You can import it into popular electronic flight bags, like ForeFlight. And what it does is clearly show these named practice boxes, instrument approaches. It just helps pilots and instructors communicate more effectively, avoid confusion in busy airspace. Apparently, that part of the CPA website now gets more traffic than any other section.
That really tells you something, doesn't it? Shows how needed it was.
It really does. Underscores its vital importance to the flying community.
So that's tackling an immediate safety issue. But the commitment to education, it goes further than that, right? Beyond just current pilots needing safety tools.
Absolutely. It's broader. On the education front, Michael Mayfield took over as chair in 2023, and he's really expanded and professionalized the committee significantly. He's even actively bringing in younger members.
Which is key.
It's absolutely key for the future of aviation. And look at the results. Last year alone, they awarded an impressive $20,000 in flight training scholarships.
$20,000. That's fantastic.
It really is. And for youth outreach, getting kids interested, that Redbird simulator they have is a huge hit at events, always draws a crowd, sparks that initial interest.
And education isn't just flight training or sims either. It's also about getting critical, reliable information out there, right? I think Brian Garrett was involved in something else, too.
He certainly was. Busy guy. Brian built the advocacy section of the CPA website basically from scratch. He turned it into this extensive and, importantly, a less biased source for information on really complex topics. Things like noise abatement, lead issues at Colorado airports.
Stuff that can get really contentious.
Exactly. So having a reliable source is crucial for informed discussion. Plus, he meticulously maintains the CPA calendar. The newsletter highlights it as the single best place to find out what's going on aviation-wise around Colorado. If you're looking for fly-ins, seminars, safety meetings, that's the place to check.
Good to know.
Yeah. And putting this all together, these efforts, they aren't just local things. They're really foundational to the health and frankly, the future of general aviation as a whole. It's about making sure pilots are informed, well-trained, connected. That's crucial for the entire ecosystem to thrive.
Okay, so while CPA is doing all this great work strengthening GA from the inside, it's clear there are significant challenges coming from the outside.
Yeah.
Let's pivot now to those political headwinds. They seem to be constantly testing the resilience of our airports, our access to flying. It really seems like noise and even lead and avgas are increasingly being used as, well, as angles of attack, is how the newsletter puts it, to threaten airports, restrict GA, maybe even tax it.
That's precisely right. And it's not abstract political theory, These external pressures are actively impacting local airports right here across the state. And it raises a critical question. What strategies are actually working to respond to these threats? The source material details several key battles. Like in 2024, remember Colorado House Bill HB 1235? That threatened new taxes on avgas.
Right, that caused quite a stir.
It did. It was a close call. But credit where it's due. The Colorado Aviation Business Association, CA, their lobbyist, Kelly Sloan, CPA's own legislative affairs chair, Gary Tovey, plus the big national groups, AOPA and EAA. They all worked together and managed to get that bill amended. Turned it into a net positive for aviation, actually.
That was a huge win. But it shows you can't let your guard down.
Not for a second. Constant vigilance is required, and the fight is relentless, as you said. Look at the examples. KBDU, Boulder Airport, facing a threatened closure. Now, a ballot initiative related to closure was withdrawn, which was a relief, but a lawsuit against the FAA continues.
And the really worrying part there is they stopped taking grant money, right, for maintenance.
Exactly. They've stopped accepting state and federal maintenance grants. That means the airport is likely just going to slowly deteriorate over time. Now, there's a new, reportedly more aviation-friendly airport manager, which is definitely a positive sign, but the future there, still very uncertain.
It's a tough situation.
It is. Then you've got KLMO, Longmont. They face that direct threat from a proposed 200-foot-tall development right off the end of runway 29.
Right on the approach path.
Directly. CPA played a key role in getting the city council to deny that specific proposal, though apparently some development was still approved nearby without council permission, and now landing fees are looking like an imminent threat there, too. It's one thing after another.
And it's not just those two. KBJC and KFNL are mentioned, too, with issues around crossing runways.
Yeah, efforts are ongoing there to either prevent closures or reopen crossing runways. There is some hope that new federal legislation might free up money for rehabilitation projects like that, so a potential positive development there.
But the pressure, especially at KBJC, sounds intense. The newsletter mentions an active noise group threatening more lawsuits, even targeting individual pilots.
Yes, that's right. Actively monitoring airport traffic, apparently looking to build a case for a suit against individual pilots and flight training organizations. That's a serious escalation, and it lines up with what AOPA President Darren Pleasant said. In the Flying Forward article, he specifically highlighted the Denver area, along with California, as one of the two hottest regions nationally for these kinds of political issues impacting GA.
So given that AOPA sees this region as a hot spot, what are they doing specifically to help pilots navigate this pretty hostile environment sometimes?
Well, one initiative mentioned is their Know Before You Go airport rating system. The idea is to help pilots essentially vote with their wallets against rising FBO fees at certain locations, give pilots some leverage back in what feels like an increasingly complex, sometimes expensive environment.
Interesting approach.
Yeah. And zooming out a bit, the urgency around the unleaded avgas transition, it's also tangled up in these political battles. Even though data repeatedly shows GA-led emissions are minimal overall, opponents consistently use it as an argument to pressure airports.
Right, it becomes a political tool.
Exactly. Darren Pleasance emphasized that the industry really needs to lean into this transition, and he pointed out something crucial. Innospec, the only producer of T-TAL, the lead additive, they plan to exit the market by 2030. So regardless of the politics, there's a very real pressing deadline. The transition has to happen. For you, the listener, I mean, these local fights are just a stark reminder, aren't they, of the constant vigilance needed to preserve our GA infrastructure and access.
Okay, so we've navigated the political battleground. Let's shift our focus back towards enhancing safety now, but maybe from a different angle, not just big programs, but also proactive design and Maybe some unexpected discoveries. First, though, some proactive steps. The Mountain Flying Committee, working with CDOT and the FAA, they got those mountain pass waypoints established, right? How's that playing
Oh,
out?
those waypoints are a fantastic safety enhancement. They're actually appearing on official FAA charts now.
That's great.
Yeah, it makes it significantly easier and safer for anyone flying in our unique, sometimes challenging mountain terrain. A really practical improvement. And looking even further ahead towards the future of flight, there's this truly compelling aspect in the newsletter, the Colorado Alternatively Powered Aircraft Airport Infrastructure Study.
Ah, yes, the one from CDOT Aeronautics and NREL.
That's the one. This isn't just pie-in-the-sky stuff. It's a serious, forward-looking assessment of the actual infrastructure needs for electric and hybrid aircraft. And they looked at all 76 of Colorado's public use airports. It's quite comprehensive.
That study sounds incredibly forward-thinking, but implementing something that ambitious across 76 diverse airports must have hurdles. What kind of challenges did the study identify, and maybe more importantly, how did it suggest overcoming them?
That's a great question. The study actually goes beyond just listing hurdles. It uses real flight data to model charging demands, which is pretty smart. It outlines different potential charger types, speeds, and it even identifies potential economic benefits.
Like what?
Well, things like generating renewable energy right there on site at the airport, improving grid resilience during outages, even creating new revenue streams for the airports themselves. So it really provides a concrete, data-driven roadmap, something other regions could potentially adapt. It really positions Colorado as a leader in thinking proactively about sustainable GA infrastructure.
That's a powerful example of foresight, definitely. But as you mentioned earlier, learning doesn't always come from studies. Sometimes it comes from unexpected places, personal experiences. Let's dive into that really compelling story from Bill Marvel now, the one titled The Sounds of Silence. It's such a powerful illustration of how individual vigilance, just paying attention and then sharing that knowledge, how it can lead to life-saving changes, really captures that continuous pursuit of improvement spirit in aviation.
It really does.
This story is about a fatal RV-6A accident way back in March 2001 near Inyo, California. The pilot reported an engine problem while flying in snow.
Yeah, it's a haunting story, but one that ultimately yielded a profound lesson for the whole RV community and maybe beyond. The author, Bill Marvel, he's a fellow RV owner himself. He was so struck by the accident report that he actually ordered the ATC recording from the FAA.
You wanted to hear it for himself.
Exactly. He listened to all the routine chatter, then the pilot's calm report of an engine problem. But crucially, when the pilot keyed the mic, Bill heard something else in the background, a distinct, rough-running engine sound, and specifically popping sounds like backfiring. That really stuck with him.
Why specifically?
Because he had the exact same carbureted Lycoming engine in his own RV-8A. Those sounds weren't just abstract. They felt incredibly personal, relatable. He knew what that engine should sound like.
Wow. That attention to detail, that sort of gut feeling based on his own experience, it must have been powerful. So what did he figure out? What caused those sounds and the engine failure?
Well, being an A&P mechanic himself, he was determined to figure it out. He identified a really critical design difference in the standard van's airboxes used on RVs back then. See, unlike most certified aircraft where carb heat air bypasses the air filter, in these RVs, the heated air was introduced before the filter.
Ah, okay, so the heated air still had to go through the filter.
Precisely. So Bill theorized, what if you're flying in snow? That snow could potentially plug up the air filter. If the filter gets plugged, you get a reduction in airflow and probably less effective engine heat reaching the carb because the airflow carrying it is choked off. But the fuel flow continues. So with insufficient air but plenty of fuel, the engine gets this massive dose of fuel, as he put it. It can't combust properly in the cylinders. Instead, that raw fuel gets dumped into the hot exhaust system,
Where it ignites, causing the popping and backfiring he heard on the tape.
Exactly. It was a brilliant piece of deduction connecting the sound, the conditions, and that specific airbox design.
So the theory was solid, but theories need proof, right? How did he confirm it? That must have been the real aha moment.
It truly was. And it came just a few days later. A pilot flying an RV-10, which, crucially, used the same airbox design actually called Bill Marvel.
Called him directly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This pilot had just experienced an almost identical scenario. Flying in snow, suddenly increased fuel flow, a rough-running engine, loud backfiring. And it ended with a dead stick landing because the engine quit completely, the cause. A fully plugged airbox packed with snow and ice.
Wow, that phone call, That was the undeniable proof right there.
Absolutely. The theory was now a confirmed, terrifying reality. What happened in the fatal accident wasn't a one-off fluke.
And the resolution here is just such a powerful testament to the value of sharing information and really the impact one dedicated person can have. What happened after he got that confirmation?
Well, Bill immediately notified Dick Van Grunsven, the founder of Van's Aircraft. He explained his findings, the theory, the confirmation call. Van Grunsven apparently called him back personally to thank him and promised to investigate immediately.
And Vance followed through.
They did. Not long afterward, Van's Aircraft released a service kit. It was a simple, elegant solution. A small bypass door on the bottom of the airbox. If the filter becomes restricted, like by snow or ice, this door automatically opens under suction, allowing air to bypass the filter, go directly to the carburetor.
Genius.
Yeah.
Simple but potentially life-saving.
Exactly. They also published an advisory strongly recommending pilots use carb heat immediately if they encounter any visible moisture, especially snow. That relatively simple design change, born directly from analyzing a tragedy and connecting the dots with that sharp ear. It has likely saved many, many lives since then.
What a story. It's a stark reminder, isn't it?
Yeah.
How vigilance, careful observation, and sharing what you learn are just fundamental to aviation safety. Okay, moving beyond the technical and political spheres, this deep dive also paints a picture of a really vibrant, evolving aviation community here in Colorado. I see 2 new CPA committees were formed specifically to address community needs and serve members better. Community relations and activities. What's the thinking behind these?
Yeah, it's really remarkable how proactive CPA is in building for the future, fostering that community aspect. The Community Relations Committee, chaired by Colin Dealman, is actively promoting aviation among young people, hitting that crucial new blood need again. And they're even planning an event specifically to give journalists a better background on general aviation. The goal: more accurate reporting, directly tackling misinformation.
That's a smart move. And the activities committee.
That one, led by Chris Kilker, is focused on organizing a diverse range of events, both social and educational. Think things like tours of ATC facilities, tower, center, approach control, tours of local aviation businesses, and even a social event specifically for student pilots, which is great for welcoming newcomers and helping them network, really reaching out, fostering those connections.
It definitely sounds like there's a major focus on bringing in that new blood, as you called it. The newsletter mentions several new people stepping into key roles, bringing fresh energy.
Absolutely. You see it throughout. For instance, Keith Circus is back, chairing the Backcountry Committee, bringing renewed focus there. David Ladd is handling airspace issues and was key in contributing to that practice area overlay we talked about earlier. We also have Patrick Brennan stepping up as recorder and Andy Holmes taking over as the newsletter editor.
So, new people, new energy.
Exactly. And it seems to be working. The article notes that membership numbers are steadily increasing, up from 670 to 750. And initiatives like offering free short-term memberships specifically for student pilots are likely contributing to that growth. It feels like a growing dynamic group.
And this focus on the next generation, it seems to be echoed by AOPA President Darren Pleasance, too, based on the article.
Yes, definitely. He highlighted AOPA's own big initiative, a free 4-year high school aviation curriculum. The aim there is twofold: spark interest early, obviously, but also, crucially, start addressing the looming aircraft mechanics shortage. That's a critical future need for the entire industry.
A pipeline issue.
Precisely. He also noted how AOPA itself is adapting, recognizing that younger generations engage with information differently. They prefer digital content, more modern storytelling formats, maybe less reliance on traditional print magazines. It's about meeting people where they are, essentially.
Makes sense. And let's not forget the fun part, the camaraderie. The newsletter has that delightful recap of a fly-in to Sheridan, Wyoming.
Oh, yeah, that sounded like a great trip.
31 members flew up. They enjoyed polo matches, museum tours, including the Brinton Museum, which was funded by Forrest Mars. Yes, that Mars of Mars, Inc. Candy fame.
Huh, no kidding.
Yeah, and they wrapped it up with a big Western BBQ. It just really highlights that essential community spirit, the social side that keeps general aviation vibrant and fun.
Absolutely. It's not all serious business.
Right. And there are more fun things coming up, too. The newsletter mentions the first annual CPA Hangar BBQ and Potluck on September 27th, a student pilot social hour on September 17th, great idea, and a CPA Presents German Products webinar on September 22nd. Plenty to look forward to.
Definitely sounds like an active calendar. And for those who like a bit of a challenge, there's the ARC Air Derby mentioned. That runs from October 1st to 14th. It invites teams, at least 2 pilots, one must be female, to design their own cross-country route. The goal isn't speed, but flying as close to their pre-calculated estimated time as possible. Precision flying.
A classic proficiency challenge.
Exactly. It really shows the diverse ways people engage with aviation, doesn't it? From purely social fly-ins to these competitive challenges, all while building skills and connections within the community.
So what an incredible journey we've taken today, really. We've gone from the essential operational work and some really innovative programs at the CPA through the tough political battles shaping the future of our airports, that absolutely gripping personal safety story that led to a life-saving design change, and finally seeing how the vibrant community is actively working to foster the next generation of aviators. It covers a lot of ground.
It really does. This deep dive, I think, truly illustrates that general aviation, well, it isn't just about the act of flying itself, is it? It's about constant vigilance, in safety, in politics. It's about deep community engagement. And it's about this continuous pursuit of knowledge and improvement in absolutely every aspect. Every single pilot, every enthusiast, you play an integral part in its ongoing evolution, whether you realize it or not.
That's a great way to put it. And as you, our listener, reflect on all this, maybe consider this provocative thought. How can you leverage this knowledge we've discussed today? Will you maybe join a local airport advocacy effort, share that RV safety lesson or a similar one with a fellow pilot, or perhaps even volunteer to mentor a young, aspiring aviator in your own community? Because, as AOPA President Darren Pleasance reminds us in the article, The Future of Aviation, it truly belongs to all of us. We all have a stake in it.